Yeah, let's get rid of that echo. Uh, Wearing my helmet. Hey, thanks for that Twitch Prime. You are the first one in my new September goal of 200. I'm a little disheveled right now. I just had to get an ambulance here to take my son to the hospital. So I'm a little disheveled, so bear with me. And it's actually the reason why I haven't streamed all weekend. He has pancreatitis. He ended up in the ER last week. They wanted to admit him right there on the spot. It's that bad. And because he's a single parent, hey, thanks for the follow. Because he's a single parent, he didn't want to be admitted. But I got the feeling he just did not want to go. I don't think his grandson living with us has got anything to do with it. I don't have a problem taking care of my grandson. He's 13, but he's a great kid. And he's very respectful. I never have to get on him. He's been here for over 6 months. I never have to get on him. He does what I asked him to do. So there wasn't a problem there. So his pain got to the point that he couldn't take it anymore. And so he's at the hospital right now. I don't have any information at this point. They'll probably go ahead and admit him because they wanted to do that last week. Thanks, Helgies. Appreciate that, them kind words there, and everybody. There's been so many people scrolled up. I'm like I say, I'm a little disheveled right now. I'm going to try to get through this, and that's what's going on there. We did make it to Indianapolis yesterday for the U.S. National Drag Race, but most of the time Sean was sitting with his head down, eyes closed. We ended up having to leave early. We missed the last 2 rounds. For one, it was getting really hot, which was taking an even more toll on him. Then after we got home, he spent about a total of 20 hours sitting in the chair with his head down and his eyes closed. So I got a feeling he might have a bleeder and his blood volume be low. And that's the reason why I got on his ass and told him to get to the hospital. If they admit him, they admit him. Better to get it taken care of now. I looked it up. With pancreatitis this bad, you have to be admitted and get treatment for it. So anyway, that's where we're at, bro. Everybody. We had TD13, Tropical Depression 13, and all day long, I've listened to Weather Channel and other meteorologists, and they said, well, within the next few days, it could get a name. Me personally, looking at the satellite presentation of it and all the information I had, it's like, it's going to get a name today. Well, guess what? It's Tropical Storm Lee. As the title says, it's Tropical Storm Lee. That just came out not long ago. And so we definitely have a tropical storm. I'm going to cover that and some severe weather outlook for tonight. Up Minnesota area, as well as down through Oklahoma. They got severe watches out for parts of Missouri and down through Oklahoma. And there's an MCD, a mesoscale discussion, that actually stretches into part of Texas that I'll show you here in a little bit. And it's calling for strong gusty winds of 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts possible. And then there is a 2% tornado risk up in Minnesota, and that'll probably stretch into Wisconsin. So, Kat, by the way, before we get started, I see a lot of more people coming in. Just bear with me, and we'll get right to everything. Kat, as far as remote ID, there is a possibility that might get postponed until sometime in the future. Pilot Institute has requested a postponement until March of next year. And so it's a little up in the air. The remote ID modules, there's only 6 companies that have FAA approval, and everything is on back order. Nobody's able to get them. 3% out of 2,200 people that they surveyed actually got the modules that they ordered. And there's a whole big percentage that ordered them and have not gotten them because they're on back order. The cheapest one that they talked about was about $130. So Amazon does not carry it at this point. It was on there a month ago, and they're not even carrying it now. Be careful about drone tag. Anyway, we'll get into that on another day. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate y'all. I really do. Just bear with me. I'm going to try to get through this. I got a lot of crap on my mind. We've had trouble all weekend with his pancreatitis, and we tried to suffer to it. I really didn't want to go to the drag races yesterday because I knew how he felt, but he promised it to me and his grandsons. So we went. And at the end of the show, I do have a video put together. I only got like 6 short videos and a couple pictures, but I put it all together for you guys. It's a little bit shaky because of my Parkinson's. You'll have to excuse that. Anyway, let's get on with it, man. I got 68 people at shows watching. So let's get right over to monitor 6. And let's go to 7-day gravity. We don't have to worry about this feller up here. It's only 10%. It ain't nowhere near us anyway. This was a 70% chance at 5 o'clock. Now the 8 o'clock update has dropped this down to 60%, but I don't like the direction this is going right now. Here is Tropical Storm Lee. It was just an invest yesterday, 95L, and then today it became a Tropical Depression 13, and now we've got this. So as of the latest information, this thing's due to be a hurricane by Thursday at 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, thanks for the gifted subs. Greatly appreciate that. We are in September, folks, so everything is greatly appreciated. So 2 a.m. Thursday is when this latest forecast is showing. And this is from the 5 p.m. AST advisory. They haven't updated it for the next advisory just yet. So by the time it gets up in here, well, let's see. Let's zoom in on this and make it a little easier for you guys to see. Now, this dotted area, that is the cone of uncertainty. So that's pretty far out. That's 2 o'clock Sunday. It's forecasted to be 145 mile per hour Cat 4. Look at the direction it's going. Will it hit us? Yeah, it's up in the air. It's a little bit too far out to really look at this thing just yet, and I'm going to show you why here in a little bit. So but for the islands down here, you know, you got all this. Let's zoom back in here. You got all this island chain, but it's mainly these up here. Puerto Rico is right there, and Bahamas. This is the Bahama Islands right in here. So it's kind of headed that way. So regardless of whether it makes impact or not in the islands, they're definitely going to feel some influence on this thing. Now, as far as wind speed probabilities, you can see here that the northern islands has got a pretty strong chance of seeing tropical storm force winds out of this thing, and naturally it doesn't go out far enough for the Bahamas, but they will end up in this. So which direction is it going to go? That's what everybody wants to know. So let's take an infrared look at this thing. She's looking pretty healthy. She's got an S shape to her. You can see spin. Let's change the plot type to. Let's go visible infrared. So you can see the spin in here of this thing. Let me get a pin out here. So we've got spin right in this area, folks. Towards the tail end of this. But look at these what I call eyebrows. That's all outflow at the end of this loop. So she's breathing. She's got good outflow. Will this thing go hurricane soon? It says Sunday, but who knows? So let's go ahead and change the region here. Let's see. I want North Atlantic. Hang on. I'll do it a different way here. This makes more sense. Could this be another Florence? Well, we don't know yet, but let's go to North Atlantic, and I want to do that shortwave IR so you can see this. Well, that was the wrong one. By the way, this crap up here to the north, that's what's left of Idalia. And it's been causing some issues up there in Nova Scotia and that. But, Hurricane Center isn't even tracking this thing anymore. So we got to change region here. Let's go Northwest Atlantic. Well, it's not showing on that one yet. See, I told you I'm disheveled, folks. Eastern Atlantic. Well, God, I did it again. Western Atlantic's what I want, damn it. And it's not quite showing up over here yet. So let's go do, I want Atlantic. And let's see, Central Atlantic, it's on that one. Here she is. She's clear to the right side. And she's looking healthy. She's looking real healthy. So let's go ahead and show the whole Atlantic. Atlantic wide is what I want to show you guys. Here it is down here. This is Tropical Storm Lee. And she's, the last few scans, it's not quite, earlier today, it was looking great. Again, this one up here, that's what's left of Idalia. We got this little spin over here that I think might have been Gert. Hey, thanks for that tier 1 sub, 23 months. Greatly appreciate that. So, what's going on with this thing? So first off, let's look at sea surface temperatures, okay? Now, I'm going to look at anomalies. Let's go ahead and look at the whole thing right here. This is anomalies, the difference between average or not. So I'll zoom in on this. And first off, look at all this red over here in the East Pacific. El Nino, not so much. The SOI, or the Southern Oscillation Index, is only -5. We want -7 for a strong El Nino. And what's happening is we got deep warm waters in this area, but the region that we're concerned about covers like all of this. And over in this area, it's not real deep. Now, that's East Pacific, right? How does that affect over here in the Atlantic? Well, that normally cools the Atlantic with strong winds, but it's not happening. We don't have El Nino. Everybody was forecasting this extremely strong El Nino, and it's not happening. It's not happening. And by the way, the -5 that I mentioned was the 90-day forecast, 3-month forecast. Look at all these warm waters that Tropical Storm Lee is going to be going through. Extremely warm waters. Look at this area up here. Whoops, I went too far. See these blues up in here? Guess where Franklin and Adelia went? Sucked up all the warm surface waters. That's the reason for the blue. That's below average. Now, one thing I want to point out, and I've never really talked about this a whole lot. Let's go. North Atlantic is what I want. See this white area and these little bit of blues here? That's where Adelia started, right here. And then you see a white area there that was extremely warm. I mean, the whole Gulf was deep reds when Adelia started down here west of Cuba, off the tip. But these white areas tells me that it sucked up a lot of the warm waters there. Adelia did. But one thing I haven't really covered, and I don't know if most of you know about this, and this area right here, that's the Gulf Stream. It brings waters out of the Gulf, goes around the tip of Florida and right up the East Coast, and then it goes east. So we got this section of warm waters up here, and one thing about Tropical Storm Lee that's mainly, as of right now, forecasted to be a strong Cat 4. A couple of models has actually said Cat 5. But, so it's down in here, right? And it's going to be headed this way. Well, what's going to happen is there's a high pressure ridge, and I'll show you on the models here in a little bit. It's going to curve to the north and northwest. Look at all these blues right in here. That's right where Adelia and Franklin, by the way, this is Bermuda right here. So that was the path of those two strong hurricanes. And it's got to cross those cooler waters. And like I've told you guys in the past, when a tropical system gets over cooler waters, it tends to weaken. Okay. Now you would think, well, is that good news? By the way, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little bit sunburnt, especially my arms. Anyway, back to the subject. You would think, okay, that's going to chill this thing out. You know, it's going to be Cat 4 before it gets there. Then it's going to hit these cooler waters. And is that going to kill it? No. Is it going to weaken it? Most likely. But remember, I tell you guys, as a tropical system weakens, it gets bigger. It gets wider. What does that mean for us? Even if some of the models that forecasted, it's going to, let's see, let's do this in red. It's going to curve back out. Some of the models are saying this. Well, if this thing really widens, goes from a Cat 4 or maybe 5, and weakens, its wind field is going to come all the way over here. So it's most likely going to affect the East Coast. And tell you the truth, with it coming over here close to the Dominican Republic and just north of Puerto Rico, if it ends up coming here, which the Euro actually has a little bit further south, I'll show you in the models in a little bit. Naturally, it's going to affect these islands, but it's potentially going to affect the whole East Coast. Even if it weakens up in this northern area, and gets wider, it's going to affect every bit of that coastline in one way or another, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at the forecast models. Now we'll start with the GFS. We'll change region here to North Atlantic. This is it down here. This is it down here. I believe this might be the remnants of Franklin that's trying to do a little something. We ain't worried about that. This is Idalia up here. Okay. We got a high pressure ridge, a little one right here. Don't worry about that one. This high pressure right here is what could affect the outcome of this. Does it shove more west? Or does it go northwest? And then we have this section down here that's got 60% chance of forming. Could this try to stay underneath that ridge and come west? That's the question we want to know. Okay. So, first off, let's take a look at the vorticity. The spin in the atmosphere with the winds. Excuse me. I still got a little nitro fuel in my lungs, I think. So, Idalia's up here. Here's Lee down here at the bottom. And I'm just going to go ahead and play this. This is the GFS. We'll go ahead and play this and take a step-by-step procedure. Real strong. Look how black that is in the vorticity. That is strong. That's when it's going to be a Cat 4. Now, this is past the 7-day forecast, so take this with a grain of salt, folks. Take this with a grain of salt. Okay? So let's back this up. Let's do the EFAST, the European EFAST model. Now, this is still showing a day. I went pretty far back. But Lee down here is the one we want to watch. We'll do step by... Well, EFAST, it's on the 18Z run. Let's back this up. The 12Z run. Because the 18Z isn't done yet. Now, if you look down here, and let me zoom in on it. It's a little bit closer to Puerto Rico, which is right there. The Euro's got a little bit further south than the GFS. So let's see where it goes from there. And by the way, let me back this up. Now this is 140. Let's go out the full 7 days. 168 hours, right? Let me zoom in on it here so I can show you guys this. This is that high pressure system. Look at the ridge that it's building. Remember, high pressure is a big bully. It kind of shoves things around like low pressure. That's the reason why Lee is going in the direction that it's going. It's coming down here and going this way because that high pressure steering has got it going this way. You know, it's pushing it more west. How strong does this high pressure up here get? This high pressure ridge. That's one steering mechanism. Another one here 7 days out is going to be this trough. What happens with it? Will it go, this trough go further east over in this area and kind of tug on it? Will this high pressure weaken? That's part of that cone of uncertainty, the part of the cone with the dots in it. And so let's go back to the GFS. In the same time frame, it's a little bit more northwest of Puerto Rico here. So the models isn't quite coming together. So it's getting close though. I mean, that's pretty good consistency so far between the GFS and the Euro and the Eurofast. Now, let me go back to the current storms. And this is one thing that I want to look at. What is the global model saying? This is the global and hurricane models. This is the track that they're showing so far. Look at these two. If it hits at where this says, Florida, but the consistent models are going this way. Okay. So these UK models, sometimes they're right, not always. As far as strength, earlier today, when I was looking at this, there was only a couple of these models that had it going clear up to Cat 5, this very top bar up here. And these two up here in green and the red one are Hurricane models, which I trust quite a bit. The one Hurricane model has it going way up into Cat 5, so that's a really good possibility. But the consensus, if you look at most of the model lines, is definitely Cat 4, and that's what it's forecasted for. Some of these goofy Canadian models, the one that begins with a C down here, look at that. They got it saying stay in a tropical storm. And then dissipating out, this UK model does. Well, forget those particular models. Here's another set. These are the GEPS. Again, there's a few of them that has it going this direction. But the consensus and the most reliable ensembles in this is got it doing that. Again, if it gets up in here, and which is way out, and it hits that cooler waters, then yes, it's going to get weaker and it's going to get bigger. It'll expand out so wide, it's most likely going to affect the East Coast. Now, this is forecasting, so in the forecasting is, not always perfect, and like I say, with severe weather, I hate forecasting past 3 days. The Hurricane Center is pretty, they're pretty thinking that we can go out to 7 days now on tropical weather. Now, here is the ocean heat content, and I want to point out some. Look at all these lighter colors in the Gulf. Now, this is how deep those warm waters are. There was a lot sucked up by Idalia. This yellow going up here and then going right, that's the Gulf Stream. Still fairly warm. But this section, of blue, this is pretty shallow warm waters. Right in there is where Idalia and Franklin went that way, and Idalia came up this way. So it sucked up all the deep warm waters. Now, this gets kind of tricky as far as will those areas of cooler deep water cure itself? Yes, it will. It'll eventually start building back in warm, deep waters, as well as the surface waters that I showed you guys. That can take days. It could take months. So we don't know. That's pretty far north, and this is kind of a rare year to have that much. If you've been following me the past month, I've been showing you the sea surface temperatures and how warm that Atlantic was way up north. And so this is an odd year. I've never, out of the 14 years I've been working on tropical weather, I've never seen the Atlantic that warm when we got an El Nino brewing, which is weak. It's not as strong as everybody thought it was going to be. So because of that, we still got the really warm waters in the Atlantic, and I've never seen it this warm. How close is this one going to come to Nova Scotia? It's way too far out. I hate going past 7 days. Tell you the truth, I don't much trust past 5 days. That's the reason why that code got all them dots in it, all the way up to the 6th and 7th day. So it's too early to tell exactly where it's going to go and how strong it's going to be. I do think in some way it will affect from the southern tip of Florida all the way up the East Coast, clear to Nova Scotia. But it's just too early to tell. just yet. Stay tuned. Just because it doesn't make direct impact doesn't mean that you won't get influenced by it. So we just got to wait and see. The 7-day forecast again is got it north of Puerto Rico as a strong Cat 4. 145 mile per hour winds. Earlier forecast today was 140 mile per hour, and so they're upping their scale a little bit as the models get closer. Now, here's another fact. Right now, they're going by satellite presentation and all the data that they actually get from the satellites. How many Cat 5s? I don't remember. Quite a few. But anyway, so they've only been going by satellite presentation and the data coming from the satellite. It's too far east in the Atlantic to fly the aircraft to it just yet. When it gets over closer to Puerto Rico and the Leeward Islands, they will start sending aircraft. Once they start sending aircraft, we'll get more data into the models. The models can only do what the data we put into it. So the models could be all wrong at this point. I don't think it is. Too many of them are saying pretty much the same thing. But we can't narrow anything down until we get data from the aircraft, the hurricane hunters, to go along with the satellite presentation that they're using data from. So we'll have to wait and see on this one, but I tell you what, it's got me looking at it pretty darn good now. I've been kind of keeping my eye on this ever since Idalia left Florida and went over by Bermuda and raised a little havoc over there. And that scared a lot of people because the models were showing it turning back northwest, which it did, and headed for Maine or Nova Scotia. But, with Sean's health conditions over the weekend, I've been pretty tied up with that and other things. And then the race. So I haven't been keeping track of how bad that Nova Scotia or Newfoundland got influence from what was left over of Idalia. I haven't heard anything. So anybody that lives up that way, if you can let me know, and everybody in chat, I'm sure you guys got rain and some winds out of it. But that's what I got as of now. I can't exactly answer that, Southpaw. I know they do have ways of measuring the winds. Probably looking at the clouds for one thing, and how far they move with it and the distance of time. The distance time formula is probably one way they do it. And they have other things on that GOES satellite that can measure crap that I don't get to see. So they can get pretty doggone close with the measurements. I mean, with Idalia, when it was first close to being hurricane hunters going into it, and the wind measurements coming out of it, and then they set the hurricane hunters in there. It was a little bit stronger than what the satellite presentation was showing, but it wasn't that far off. It was pretty doggone close. Now, as we seen with Ian last year and Idalia this year, the last of the forecast models were a little off. Well, when they get that close, and when they go through rapid intensification phase, which they still ain't exactly sure why rapid intensification happens, the models get off a little bit. Now, Idalia did weaken right before landfall. It landed as a Cat 3, but just hours before it was a Cat 4. And there was hurricane hunters going in there every hour and updating the models and whatnot. And it happened a weekend. Well, what happened, and I showed this on I think I showed it as my last stream. It was trying to do an eye wall replacement. So the eye wall kind of dissipated, and there was an outer eye wall that was trying to tighten up, and it didn't quite have time. It tried, but that put a curve in it. And when she went to Cat 4, she turned northeast. And then when it weakened, it turned back northeast. So tropical storms do this kind of crap. Franklin, it went through several eye wall replacements, and it kind of throws the timing and the models off. And like I told you guys with Adelia, if this thing speeds up or slows down, it changes the timing of everything. So we'll have to wait and see on Lee, which was my oldest brother's name. I hope this one don't get horrible. Hope it gives us nice satellite views out in the ocean and doesn't affect anybody, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to affect a lot of people. Now, getting over to severe weather, want to go ahead and show you guys. Actually, I can do this right here on the main screen. I'd love to be in a hurricane hunter. As much as I hate heights, I'd love to go through a hurricane in a hurricane hunter. I love flying in planes. So I want to show you the SPC. The 2% is up here. So we got parts of Wisconsin and eastern Minnesota. And you can see the storms that's already brewing up. This is going to be going on for quite a while. And there is a slight risk up here as well as down here. Now, there's no tornado risk down here, but you got Columbia, Missouri included in this slight area going all the way down, and then down here near Oklahoma, or around Oklahoma City on down to the southwest is a marginal risk. But there was an MCD out that said they could get 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts. Now, here in Oklahoma City, actually in Newcastle, there was an estimated 60 mile per hour wind report, tree limbs reported down. So these areas, and you can see the severe watch. I'll fill the watch boxes in. So there you can see where the severe watches are. And yes, there is several warnings out. We got a severe in Oklahoma, actually 2 severes in Oklahoma, 4 severes in Oklahoma showing up now. We got one up in Michigan for some reason. I don't know what the hell's going up there by Detroit. I think somebody's smoking something up that way. Who knows in Detroit, right? We do have 2 severe warnings here in Missouri. No tornado risk as of right now, but when I click on the watch box for down there, the primary threat is scattered damaging winds, isolated significant gusts to 75 mile per hour possible. I haven't seen any reports yet. Hail events to 1.5 inch. So it's mainly going to be a wind event. And here's what's going on satellite. Let me back this up three hours. So we got a low pressure system right here. Then about right in here is where the front is right now. Whoops, my hand shook down there at the bottom. It ain't, the front don't look that squiggly down there. So that's about where the front is, and all the storms are firing up ahead of it. I'll go ahead and I've lost enough daylight for the satellite view, but you can see where all the storms are lining up with the low pressure system. Again, the low pressure's up here, and the cold front is coming down through here. Good news is after this passes through, it's going to cool off substantially. When it comes through me tomorrow, it's going to go from 84 and get down in the 70s. Don't sound like much of a cold front, does it? But I mean, crap, you're going to cool off. There's some areas of Minnesota where the high tomorrow is only going to be 68. We will get any storms in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. Actually, I think everything has already went through. It seems like everything's to the east. Let's take a look at the models. Let me get College of DuPage up over here. We'll take a look. So we'll go NamNest and get up here. Minneapolis should be about right in there. And as that low pressure system, which is right over here, you can see the hook on it. It shows you right over, and here's the spin of the low pressure system. Yes, there's going to be more storms coming later. Actually, it'll be in the wee hours of the morning. See, that's at 4Z. I got to get out my trusty chart because my brain ain't working right. So 4Z Central Time is going to be, well, actually about 10 o'clock tonight and through the morning, wee hours of the morning. Good possibility of getting some strong storms up this way. And then it's going to push on through and go into Michigan, but it'll kind of weaken. What I'm supposed to get tomorrow, maybe some general thunderstorms. I'm only in a marginal with no, there is no tornado threat anywhere for tomorrow. So this is what it's looking like for tomorrow. But yes, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Actually, this thing's showing clear up. But yeah, as that low passes through, then it's going to create a lot of storms. And that model is not up to date. So that's what I got for weather. Any other questions? Oh God, I am so tired and my whole body hurts. And I rode in a wheelchair all day long because I can't walk that far. Hey, thanks for that tier 1 sub. Appreciate that, Autumn. So as far as the hurricane season goes, we're not to the peak yet. That's not till around the 16th. And even though there's not much showing up today on the Atlantic side, got to do something here. Not much showing up on the Atlantic side. There is a lot happening out there right now. All kinds of energy. Let's see. I'll point this out again. We'll go with Atlantic wide, infrared. Get back over to monitor 6. Look at all these different areas of spin out here. I mean, this is Lee. We got something else coming off. Actually, it's Invest 96L already, and it's just coming off of Africa. We got leftover of Adelia. I think this might be the remnants of Gert at the end of the loop right there. Not on monitor 6. Why? I hit it. Sorry about that, folks. Told you I'm a little disheveled. I thought I hit it. Maybe I didn't. We got spin up here. We got spin there. We got some sort of spin here. We got a little something right in here. Not sure what it is. It isn't showing up on the hurricane season or the Hurricane Center's forecast. But there's a little something happening down in here. Not sure what. We got a little action over in the East Pacific as well. But look at all that activity. And we got one up here yet, too. So, a lot of activity in the Atlantic, even though there's only 2 possibles and a tropical storm showing up. So let me get rid of that. And let's go over here to the East Pacific. What's happening here? Well, we got Joba. Tropical storm Joba. What's this thing going to do? Yeah, it's supposed to be a hurricane. It was supposed to have been a hurricane by 3 o'clock today. I think they're late. This hasn't been updated. Possibility to be a Cat 3 at least, major hurricane, all the way through Friday, and then it'll start to weaken. Why? Like I showed you before in the ocean analysis, sea surface temps. Let's go Eastern Pacific. See these blues right here? That's some cool waters. Right off of the Baja California. So it's going to go up this way and just kind of like, what the hell? I'm tired. It's going to get weaker up in here. Now, it probably, as it comes up, especially as a major hurricane, and as it weakens, it's going to get wider. It's going to affect the coast even more, even though it's way off the coast. But I do believe that along Mexico and probably part of Baja California, as it gets up in these cooler waters and starts to weaken, it'll affect the coast. Mainly swells and some wind. So that's it for the tropical. That's all I've got right now. I'm waiting on a phone call from Sean to see what's going on there. I know I keep saying a lot. I don't know why I keep doing that. I try not to. But I'm waiting for some information. I'll let you guys know over on my Discord what I find out. But I got a real good thinking of they're going to admit him, because they wanted to admit him when he went to the ER last week, and he didn't want to go. By the way, as far as drone goes, if you want to not have to worry about remote ID, one drone that I'm looking at, even though it's lighter than the Spark, it don't have the sensors on it, the collision sensors and that, is the DJI Mini 2. That's the one I'm looking at. You can't use the same controller. You got to get one with the controller, and you got to buy the batteries. But it's the cheapest one out there, and it won't take the winds that the Spark does. It could fly away in 30-mile-an-hour winds instead of 40 or 50. So, but you don't have to have remote ID in it because it weighs less than 250 grams, and that's 250 grams is the limit where they have to have. Mavic Pro, that if you got the money to spend for a Mavic Pro, go ahead. It's got remote ID built into it. All the newer drones have to have remote ID built into them. But if you want to avoid that, get a Mini 2 or a Mini 3. I don't know much about the Mini 3s. So, U.S. Nationals. Here's my little video. It's shaky. Because of my Parkinson's, I was trying to do my best. It was getting hot. It got up into the 90s. Even with the breeze, it started to get horrible, and we did not get to see the end. Before I get to the video, I was real disappointed for you drag race fans. All the years, which I used to go every year for a lot of years, to the U.S. Nationals in Indianapolis. It's the Super Bowl of drag racing. Every time that I went there was always drivers, when their cars were being worked on in the pits, the drivers be out there signing autographs and talk to you and stuff. John Forslust, he was my favorite, even though he switched to Chevrolet bodies. He goes where the sponsors are. Hey, thanks for the follow. He was not out there to sign autographs. None of the drivers went out to sign autographs except one, Robert Height, which he's a teammate of John Force, also driving a Chevy body. It's just the body. There ain't nothing about that car that's Ford, Chevy, Toyota, or anything. But he saw, I did get an autograph from him. But when I tried to talk to him, he talked to me like crap. I was real disappointed. John Force's team has always been super friendly to the fans, and I watched Brittany Force's pit because it was just right across the way. There were fans there to try to get her autograph, and they got tired of waiting on her to come out while she was racing, and in between the runs, and even afterwards, after she lost. She did not come out to sign autographs that I seen, and the fans were getting tired of standing there waiting, and they just walked away. Same way with John Force's pit, same way with almost everybody that I seen. I never seen but one driver out there signing autographs, and he treated me like crap. And I waited 20 years before I was been able to go, and like I said, I was in a wheelchair. Because I can't walk that much, and there's a hell of a lot of walking over there. So, well, it got better after the COVID, after they released all the restrictions, and I've seen videos of them doing it. Why they didn't do it at the U.S. National, the Super Bowl of drag race, I don't know. I was really pissed about it. Well, I wouldn't say pissed, but I was highly upset. That's all I talked about after we got home for hours. But let me go ahead and show you my video. Now, this might be a little loud. I'll try to keep the volume down. Here's my grandson. This is only a little over 3 minutes. Now, I'll pause this. These seats here, this area, wheelchair area down here next to the starting line, which is right across from me there, this is actually reserved. The one event guy that was sitting there at the bottom of the ramp to get into there, the wheelchair section, said no. You only got general admission ticket. This is reserved seating, which is way more money. But this black man also worked there at the event. He came down and asked, well, what's this all about? So I told him, I said, this is my grandson, third generation, first time here. And I wanted to show him a different view from the general ticket section. He said, come on. And he allowed us to go up there anyway. So I'll go ahead and play this. Oh, by the way, pause. And maybe it ends up a little out of focus there. That yellow car, when I first started going to Indianapolis and watching drag races, one of my favorites was Don Perdome, Don the Snake Perdome. This is a tribute car to him. It's actually Ron Capps' car, but that's a Hot Wheels Don Perdome tribute car on it. And he actually won the race. I had to watch a video today to find that out because we wasn't there. Go to the mini tour, So yeah, that was only 6 videos put together and a couple pictures. I thought you guys might enjoy that. Let you see that we did go, and we had a good time. Except for most of the time, Sean was slumped over with his eyes closed. I don't know if he's got a bleeder in his intestines, because there was several areas in his intestines that showed in the x-rays and CAT scans of irritation, as well as his pancreas, and they did diagnose him with pancreatitis, which is nothing to mess around, and it causes a lot of pain for one, but I'm worried that he might have a bleeder because for days now he sits in the chair over here and with his head down, his eyes closed. Sometimes he's sleeping, sometimes he's not, and he spent quite a bit of time in bed. After we got home, he spent about 20 hours before I could get him to go to bed, sitting in that chair, falling asleep and that. So I'm worried he's got a bleeder and his blood volume's low. That's what's foremost on my mind. I appreciate you guys being on here with me. I've lost about 20 people, but I definitely wanted to do this stream for you guys to let you know what we got with Tropical Storm Lee, its potential, and my guesses, which not really guesses at this point, the way the models are coming together. Keep you guys apprised of what's going on, not only with Sean, but definitely with the tropical weather. Yeah, I'm taking care of myself, and yeah, I tell you what, since Sean moved in with me about 3 years ago, and he's been pretty much helping me out and taking care of me and stuff. And I always thought I would be the first one to go to the hospital. We never thought that he would end up in the hospital. And like I said, last week they wanted to admit him, but he copped out of it. Then they wanted him to go to a different hospital, part of the same group, and see this other gastrointestinal specialist and get it admitted in the Bethesda North Hospital. And then when he called them today, because that particular doctor ain't going to be back in till Thursday, but I made Sean call today and to at least try to get an appointment set up, because you just don't go get admitted. The doctor has to order it. And when he called Bethesda North Hospital this morning, they knew nothing. This local hospital, which I call it a Band-Aid station, did not send any orders over to the Bethesda North Hospital for him to be admitted and set up an appointment for that specialist. So that's the reason why he's back in the local hospital, McCullough Hyde, the Band-Aid station. I refuse to go there. There's been several times that I should have called an ambulance and had them take me there, and I didn't want to go. So I'm doing good, other than being a little sunburnt, which I don't know if you guys can see this. This is my normal color up here, and it's a little red. If you've seen it in person, my hands are red and raw feeling, and my body's sore all over. And I rode in a wheelchair, and I'm still sore. What the hell's up with that? My grandson pushed me around all day, by the way. He got pretty tired there last. We got there about 6 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't leave till after 3. The race didn't end till about 5, somewhere in there, I think. But we couldn't stick around for the last 2 runs. And poor Junior was getting tired of pushing me around. Sean, he was feeling too bad to even push me. But Junior, man, he was having fun. But he drives that wheelchair like his dad drives his car. You know, he was all over the place. I'd tell him to go right, and he'd go left. And it's like, uh-oh. I got a problem here. The boy ain't listening to me. And I even stretched my arm out and pointed which way I wanted to go. But we had a lot of fun. Junior enjoyed himself. He was pretending, by the way, in that picture at the beginning of the video with him in front of that sign, the reason why he was holding his hand up like that and had the other one down, he was pretending he was racing. And that was as we were leaving. So, yeah, I needed a bullhorn and turn signals. So, I've been trying to work on the acrylics. I get a good burn on a scratch piece of acrylic, but when I actually did what came with the lighted sign, there's pops in it, and I had the power turned down all the way. I used the same power that I've been using on these scratch sheets, 12 by 12 scratch sheets, and there's a difference between those acrylics. So I'm trying. If you look on here, by the way, I got an airbrush now. I'm painting with tempera paint because it washes off with water. Since the acrylic's clear, a diode laser actually goes through. It can't etch it. So you have to paint it, is one method. And as you can see here, I've got started the first coat of an area that I'm going to try to etch tonight. So that's what's going on with the laser. It's starting to upset me a little bit. I got mad the other night and slammed a piece down, and it shattered like glass. It's cast acrylic, so it shatters pretty easy. Have you heard of Bandimere Raceway? Yes. Oh, yeah. That was one of the racetracks that if I ever got to travel across the country, Bandimere is one that I wanted to go to. Especially the one down in Bristol area there at Thunder Valley. Actually, with NASCAR, I'd like to see a NASCAR race in Thunder Valley because you can see the whole track, right? So, something else at Indianapolis. We got there, and when they finally opened up the ticket booth, about 7:30 in the morning, we got there at 6. We done bought our tickets, but while we were standing there to buy our tickets, there was a couple guys standing there waiting as well. And one of them turned around and handed us two $10 off tickets for free. You know, just, hey, you guys want some discounts? And so instead of paying $68, me and Sean had to pay $58. Wasn't no special price for wheelchair section. Don't give you a break because you're a senior. Junior got in for free because they thought he was 9 years old, even though he's 13. They thought he was 9 years old, so they didn't charge for him at all. Oh, Brandon Mears getting shut down? Oh my God, you're kidding me. Wait and see if that actually happens, because the fans in NASCAR, the Darlington racetrack several years ago, they were going to take it out of the loop and get rid of that track. So many fans bitched, excuse my language, about Darlington, they couldn't let it out. And matter of fact, that's where the race was this past weekend, was Darlington. The famous Darlington stripe, if you scrape the wall. So Brandon Muir, I remember drag racers racing there and watching on TV. So just wait and see if it actually happens, because they get enough fans to complain about them getting rid of that track. They may do something about it, so we'll have to wait and see. Let me know if they do change their mind, Branding Iron. So yeah, there's going to be some good storms out there in Missouri now. The fans try, but not this time. Money talks and bullshit walks. Yeah, well, you can thank Bidenomics for some of it. They may have been losing money because, hey, King, with Bidenomics, people just can't afford it. I mean, things are getting rough, even for me, and it's going to get a little tougher because Sean's going to be off work for a long time, especially if they end up having to do surgery on his pancreas. He could be off of work for 3 weeks to a month, and so I got to pay all the bills when I can't afford it. So yeah, JoJo. Yeah, thanks to the fans. I tell you what, I really enjoyed watching not only Xfinity but the Cup Series at Darlington over the weekend. Xfinity, I woke up about halfway through the race, but I got to see the good part. And the Cup Series was excellent. I really enjoyed that, man. I'm sitting there thinking one person's going to win, and nope, it's somebody else. Not really state paid sick leave, and I don't know if his company insurance. I know they wanted all kinds of information from him for their insurance, so I don't know. God, I hope so. If he's off that long, he might be able to get unemployment pay, but we don't know. I mean, it's too early to find any of that out. We'll get through one way or another. Renting that car alone cost me over $800 because Sean didn't have the money. So they're blew all my funds for the laser project, and I got a lot of stuff I want to order, but I can't right now till we see what's going to happen. Again, I'm waiting for a phone call from him. It's been well over an hour since he left. And I apologize for starting the stream a little late. I hate doing that. I love to get it started right at 8 o'clock. So, and with the ambulance set out here for a long time after they took him in it, he was able to walk in it barely. But I'll keep you guys abreast on my Discord if you're wanting to know. I know most of you do. I have no idea, Jeff. I have no idea. I don't know what their policy is. So, God, I hope so. Because it's going to get a little rough. We will get through this. We will get through this. And I think I'm going to sit in a hot tub of water and see if I can get my aching body to stop this crap. I had such a great time in a wheelchair. I'm sore all over. My hands, well, it probably starts about my neck and goes all the way to my toes. And either other parts of my body hurt. So, hey, thanks for the raid, even though I'm about done. Oh, God, man. Welcome all. Thanks for the new follow. Be sure and turn on that notification button if you haven't already, because I'm going to be doing streams about Tropical Storm Lee, set to be a major hurricane. So, I greatly appreciate it, guys. We've been talking about drag racing the last few minutes, but I've done an hour of severe tropical weather, so greatly appreciate the raid. I'll try to return the favor when I can. 302 viewers. Oh my God, I can't stop now, right? You know what, Lisa, I don't think I got that command. Let me, you guys go check him out. Serpent Gameplay. Go check him out, man. Give him some love over there. I want to save that name. Hey, thanks for giving him that shout out. Go give him some love for raiding me with that many people. So let me backtrack a little bit for everybody just joining. Just do a quick little update over here on Monitor 6. We got Tropical Storm Lee out here in the Eastern Atlantic, and this is where it's going as of the latest forecast. The part of the cone that's dots, that's the cone of uncertainty. Once it gets that far out past Friday, you know, things are going to change. But the solid white part of the cone is pretty much certain. I dare say, while it's showing 2 a.m. Thursday, it should go hurricane status. So, so anyway, that's what the topic of today was. So, if you can't speak English here, so everybody knows what you're saying. Ruh-roh. Really, Branding Iron? Was what he said so bad? Hey, thanks for that tier 1 sub. Greatly appreciate it. That gives me 9 out of 200 for September. So, greatly appreciate that. So anyway, folks, that's all I've got for today. Thanks for all the support and the subs. Any direct donations to my PayPal is greatly appreciated. It helps me to pay for all this stuff to keep it going. And I'm about half raid. Actually, I'm using 10 monitors tonight, by the way, guys, for you new people. And this is my setup behind me. This is an image behind me on the green screen, but I actually do have that many monitors. So, and that's what I use for my Weather Command Center here in Southwest Ohio. So greatly appreciate you guys. Thanks for that raid. And all the subs and everything, and any direct donations that goes to pay for this. Any bits that I might have missed, I greatly appreciate it. You need at least 32. Yeah, I live on disability, so I can't quite pay for that many, and I don't have enough room in this little living room. I've already got a 6-foot wide desk with a extended 2-foot now, and this is all the monitors I can fit, and as you can see, I've had to go up. So when I'm looking up here, I'm looking at the top monitor. So there you go, folks. So it's going on 9:30. I should be getting a call, I hope, very soon. I got to get my grandson ready for school tomorrow, because it's up to me now. So I love y'all. Thank you for being here. Stay tuned for the latest update and what we say here. Peace. Papa Top for me. I've already started. We'll catch you on the next broadcast. Good night, all. Check me out tomorrow night.